Good evening, everyone. Welcome to A Healthy Table. We are excited to be back here with you. It seems like so long since our last session. It's funny how time goes sometimes. Um, this session is being recorded and it will be posted to our website. We know that quite a few people were able to join us tonight. So, those recordings, anytime you miss, you can catch them on our Healthy Table website, which we'll put there in the chat box again so that you have that for easy access. Our agenda should also be posted in the chat box for you today. We have a really exciting lineup of some salad dressings and herbs and egg dishes. So we're looking forward to tonight. I do want to remind you that your microphones and your cameras are enabled, and we do want to see your smiling faces and listen to any questions or conversation that you have. We just ask and remind you to keep your microphone muted when you're not speaking, so so we don't have any feedback or anything from everybody talking all at the same time, I guess. Uh, so we want to hear, we also have a Facebook page where we've been trying to post some fun and see your pictures during the month in between our Zoom meetings. And I know a lot of you have been trying some things out. So it's super fun to see all of your pictures. We hope you keep doing that. The next lesson has launched, and I'll show you that a little bit later today before we end. So there's some new content for you to kind of peruse through on our Healthy Table website. And let's see, I am going to turn it over to Beth Shepard, one of our agents in Brevard County, for our icebreaker tonight.
All right, thank you so much. I'm trying to share my screen. All right, here we go. So we're going to start today with our icebreaker, which is kitchen utensils. I don't know if you remember what utensils are called, what their real names are, but I want everybody to take a minute and grab your pen, pencil, whatever it is, and a paper, because I am going to show you a tray of 20 kitchen utensils. You will have 30 seconds to write them all down. But I want to tell you the part that you need to remember is no screenshots, no taking a picture with your camera, right? This is totally on the honor system, but we want you to grab that pen, grab that paper, and we'll give you 30 seconds to write down all 20 items that are on this tray. And instead of you trying to hurry up and get it all done and missing some of the things that you might get to learn, we have the great demonstrations that we have tonight. We are going to give you an extra 30 minutes after the class ends to email that to me. Now, my email is right there, and it's going to go away in just a second when I move it. But don't worry, it's in the chat. So you can always go back and look in the chat, so you can send it to us that way. And so I'm ready. I'm hoping everybody's ready. Another few seconds to make sure you have your pen and paper. All right. So you're going to have 30 seconds to name all these items. Here we go. All right, those 30 seconds are up. Just a reminder, you can send your submission to me, bshepar@ufl.edu, and we'll take it 30 minutes up to after classes ended. And I can't wait to see what you end up with. We have some great prizes for you, so definitely put that submission in. And I am going to stop sharing and turn it over to you. I believe, Kendra, it goes back to you.
Yes, thank you, Beth. So that was fun. There were some things on there that I couldn't remember the names of. So hopefully somebody was able to remember that and win some of those fabulous prizes you have to offer. So excited to see who our winner is this week. That's always fun to see. So last week we talked simple meals and side dishes, and we had a couple DIY, do it yourself recipes on our website for marinara sauce, and one for sheet pan roasted chicken that VG had demonstrated last week or last month or whenever it was that we met before. So we want to know, did you give those DIYs a try? How did it go? If you didn't do the DIY, is there something else that you tried? You can unmute or put your success story in the chat box. We'd love to hear from you. Anybody want to share something that they tried out?
This is Marie. I roasted some vegetables.
Great job, Marie.
This is VG. I know here in Orange County, one of our Master Gardener volunteers told me that she was a part of our session and that she was planning on making that sheet pan meal. I don't know if she did it yet, but she definitely mentioned that she was planning on doing it.
That's awesome. Well, we are really enjoying seeing your successes. So don't forget to take some time to post on our private Facebook page, or send any one of us an email and just share what you're doing. If you have other content that you'd like to see, we sure want to hear about that too. So go ahead and put that in the chat box or reach out to one of us, and we can make sure that we can try to address the things that you're wanting to learn in this series.
Hey, Kendra, I have a little success story.
You do?
So I roasted some vegetables, and my dad does not eat vegetables. So I try to sneak them in every time they come over on Sunday and sneak them in wherever I can. But he mentioned something about, well, don't do this or that, but maybe some cauliflower. So I roasted some cauliflower, and he's like, that I'll eat again. I will eat that again. That's okay. So yay, my daddy ate a vegetable because I
Oh,
roasted
yay,
it.
good for him. Yeah, next month we're talking air fryers, and that is one of my new favorite kitchen gadgets. I've been roasting some cauliflower in my air fryer, and it's pretty easy to do and makes
Cool.
a pretty tasty little treat. So,
Kendra, Wendy Lynch put in the chat box that she didn't try anything, but she did find a lot of expired condiments in her pantry.
yeah, it happens. Time goes faster than you think, and my husband always gets mad at me when I clean out our spice rack because he likes to barbecue and stuff. But nobody ever thinks to look at the dates, and so you can find some stuff that is much older than you think. So definitely a good reminder for all of us to check out those dates every once in a while and make sure there's nothing that is expired. So thanks, Wendy, for sharing that. Okay, so we're gonna get rolling with today. You can go ahead and keep those comments coming in the chat box. I'm gonna try to figure out how to start our polling questions here. We always like to start with some culinary terms for you. So Marie, I'm hoping y'all are seeing this now.
Yes, it is up there now. So the first one is beet. So is that like referring to mixing of ingredients, or it only applies to eggs? Or maybe it is best done with a meat mallet. Was that meat mallet on that tray? I don't know if I saw one of those on there or not. The second one is whip, and is this generally done using a whisk or a fork? Is the purpose to include air in the food, or maybe all of the above? And if you slide down, is folding the process of incorporating that light area ingredient with heavier ones, aiding with trapping air bubbles, helps the food rise, or all of the above. So waiting on all those to come in, and then we've only got 4 people participating. I know we got more than 4 people here. I see a total of 32 down here. Oh, here they come.
Those words, they all seem so close to me. I get them so confused. They were tricky for me to figure out.
Yeah, well, okay. Is this okay? Here we go. Here's a few more. Up to 10 people with answers. Anyone else? All right, we are gonna close it out here. So first off, beat refers to the mixing of the ingredients. Just it is a very general term. But whip, it actually is all of the above. You want to use a whisk or a fork, and the whole purpose is to include air in the food by that whisking motion. So fold is actually all of the above as well. It's incorporating that light, airy ingredient with that heavier ingredient. And by doing it slowly and literally folding the ingredients one on top of the other, it helps trap those air bubbles in the mixture, and that helps the product to rise. So that is our poll.
Thank you, Marie. Thank you for walking us through those terms. They all get a little bit confusing sometimes.
Yes, well, I tend to use the wrong term numerous times, but I am educating myself while I'm educating everyone else. So
we're all learning together, and that's the great thing about this project.
yes,
So,
it is. So
I'm pretty excited to see Lori's kitchen. Are we ready for her demonstration on salad dressings?
I think we're ready to go.
All right, Lori, thank you for welcoming us to your kitchen today.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. I'm Lori Johnson. I am the Family and Consumer Science Agent in Lake County, but welcome to my home in Apopka tonight. I'm so excited to show you how to make your own salad dressings. You might be thinking, making my own salad dressing, I could just go to the store, I can just pick up a bottle, throw it in my fridge, and it's convenient. But making your own is super easy, it's quick, and it's really healthy because you get to control your ingredients. And health matters. So you want to know what's in your food. Have you ever looked at the back of your labels and kind of seen all those long ingredients and say, I don't really know what that is, but then we're maybe pouring it on our food. So I'm going to show you the different components of how to make your own. And the great thing about salad dressings is I'm going to show you 2 tonight, but there's endless combinations that you can make. So I hope you're at home cooking along with me. If you take a look at your screen where I have my camera under my ingredients here, the 3 components you need are going to be a fat, an acid, and seasoning. And you can use any combinations of these for what you want to put on your food. So examples of a fat are going to be our olive oil, mayo, sour cream, or yogurt. Examples of an acid are going to be lime, lemon, orange, or any type of vinegar, rice wine vinegar, apple cider vinegar, whatever you have around. And then some different seasonings and flavorings that are going to be great for just make things exciting rather than just salt and pepper. Can be garlic, mustard, onion powder, oregano, parsley, paprika, and celery seed. And these are just a few combinations. So there are lots of different things that you can try. So tonight we're going to start with our honey mustard salad dressing. So if you're making that one along with me, get ready. Just going to slide my ingredients over. All right. So what we have tonight for our ingredients are 1/4 cup of honey. We have 1/4 cup of Dijon mustard, 1/4 cup of Greek yogurt, and a little bit of salt and pepper. So you're just going to mix everything into your bowl, or add everything into your bowl. And the great thing about honey is I really love local honey. So I check out different U-Pick farms and other area farms to help support our local farmers and try their different blends of honey. So I encourage you, if you've not done that yet, there's so many great farms here in Florida that you can check them out, and you might find something new that your family enjoys. All right, and then with Greek yogurt, which I'm using here tonight, that's double the protein as regular yogurt. So it's kind of a little more nutrition bang for your buck. So I like to maximize nutrition when I'm eating. So that's something that you can try. And there's lots of different textures of yogurt. So I encourage you, if you've tried it before and you're like, it's just not for me, try another brand or variety or make your own, because there's different textures and you may end up liking it. So all you're going to do is whisk it together just to kind of blend them Let me move my tray so you can see what I'm doing. And that's it. That's your own honey mustard dressing. Super, super easy. And then there you go.
We forgot to check if anybody's cooking along with us tonight. Do we have anybody trying this out as we go?
All right, well, hopefully you guys are cooking along, or at least then you know the next steps of what to do. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I like to keep a lot of mason jars around. I typically use up the salad dressing right away, depending on how many people are eating salad with me. But if you are kind of using it for the next day or so, a mason jar is a really great tool to have around because it is a really tight lid that can keep your salad dressing safe. So if you don't have one, kind of find a tight jar that you can use to store some salad dressing for a couple of days. Again, quick and easy. Next, I'm going to show you how to make the creamy avocado dressing. And then I'm going to talk about some different uses for our salad dressing. So we're going to start with our avocado. I don't know, some folks know how to cut it. So I'm just going to give you a little tutorial on how to cut it, just in case you don't know. It's super easy, so don't be intimidated. Make sure you wash your avocado first. And all we're going to do is cut around the edges kind of in a circular motion each side because there's a big pit in the middle. So I'm just going to take my knife and go around on one side, and then I'm going to turn it over, and I'm just going to put my knife on the other side. Doesn't have to be perfect. Then you just twist it and it opens. That easy. And then you're just going to take out the pit. I like to scoop it out with a spoon, but you can use a knife as well. And then you're just going to take your spoon and go around the edge of the avocado. So you get all that deliciousness. We don't want to have any food waste. And I am using a food processor tonight. So I'm just going to put it right in my food processor. And I will push this over so you guys can see. But scoop it right in there. Sometimes it comes out in one piece. Sometimes it comes out in two. As long as you get it all out, doesn't matter what happens. Just scoop out your avocado.
Lori, do you have any tips on finding the perfect avocado? I never seem to get that part right.
Yeah, so it can be tricky. Oops, hold on. Lost my earpiece. All right, we're gonna let that. So I have found that the darker, in fact, I have another one here too, so I'll show you guys. If you're using it right away, you want to kind of press down on it. I bought these today, and I wanted them pretty ripe, so I can push a little bit. If you can push your finger all the way through, that's a little too far gone. Unless you're, depending on what you're doing with it, because you don't know if it started to turn already inside. But if it's a much lighter in color and very hard, you might want to just give it a day or two, depending on the humidity in your house, because then it'll help it kind of soften up. But this color is a little bit darker and just a little soft on the inside. And that was pretty much what that one looked like, and it came right out.
Lori, does it make a difference? Because you have Haas avocados there. If it's a nice bigger Florida avocado, same kind of thing, give it a little push, a little give to ready,
I think
or is it different?
those are going to be, yeah, and those are a little harder to, a lot of times a little bit harder to cut, and then also to blend up. So yeah, it just depends. A little bit softer will help you kind of cut it and chop it up easily, but you don't want to kind of push your finger through it.
And we hear you fine, Lori, with the one headpiece, so no worries.
I'm back. All right, so we are, move this one out so you guys can see. So for the creamy avocado, we are going to add 4 ingredients. So 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, a teaspoon of Dijon mustard, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and again, our 1/4 cup of Greek yogurt. So we're just gonna add all of that to our food processor.
Hey, Lori, how about a blender? Is that okay? Or is a food processor just the way to go.
Yeah, you can use a blender and you can also use a whisk. So whichever, the whisk is obviously going to be a little bit more of a workout, but it's definitely good for some exercise, maybe take some aggression or stress out from your day. But a blender works just fine. Just make sure with a blender, you put as much of kind of the liquid, or I mean, it's all kind of soft, but the softer stuff at the bottom and more liquid, because then it'll help it blend and not get caught in the blade.
Good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to mention about the lemon juice is you can cut it and squeeze it over a bowl to juice your lemons. Just, you don't want to do it right in the container that you're using, because then the seeds can get in your dressing. Or you can use a juicer just like this one here. We don't represent any brands or products, but this is my favorite because it has all the different measurements on the side, and it's a great bowl to mix in. So whichever tools, Beth had a great demo in the beginning of all different kitchen gadgets and tools. I know we have tons of kitchen gadgets and tools out there, but this is a favorite of mine. And if you're needing like a tablespoon and not a whole cup, you can always just take it out with your measuring spoon. So I'm gonna put my lid on. And blend away.
It's a very neat food processor. It's portable, it's small.
I have a little mini food chopper food processor that was like less than 20 bucks, I think, that I bought years ago. It is my favorite kitchen gadget. It's so handy for chopping and doing things like this. I absolutely love it.
I would love to hear from all of our participants what their favorite gadgets are in the chat, because you might have some great ideas of things that I hadn't thought of, or maybe what you use it for. So I think it would be a great thing to hear what you guys all have as your favorite gadget.
Excellent. And as you guys see, this is a pretty thick salad dressing. So if you like it a little bit thinner, you can add some liquid to that to kind of help thin it out. Either you can add more lemon juice or just water. It just depends on your personal preference. But that is our two dressings. And now I'm gonna bring over my salad and some other dressings I made earlier today. All right. So we all know that. Thanks. We all know that salads, salad dressings can be used on salads. And one important reminder about salads is you want to remember color, right? We want as much nutrition. Remember that nutrition bang for our buck when we're eating. So our peppers have lots of vitamin C that help heal our cuts and wounds. Our tomatoes are having lots of potassium, which help manage our blood pressure. So as much variety and color as you can add to your salad, it'll be great for your health. So I made some of that avocado dressing earlier. And as you see, mine is a little bit thinner because I added a little bit of water to it. I still can't kind of pour it out. So it just depends on your level of consistency that you prefer. So I'm just going to add some right in the middle that can be mixed in. So again, if you want it thinner, just add a little bit water and you have a beautiful summer salad to enjoy in the hot Florida sun. And
Lori, sometimes I like those thicker dressings so that I can actually dip my salad and I get a little bit of dressing on every bite. I don't drench it and I'm not missing out on every bite.
Absolutely. And that's a great thing. You can even just use it as a dip. It does it with some veggies. You don't even have to have a salad. You can use creamier dressings. Like that is a great one. The avocado on fish tacos, or you can put it onto sandwiches or burgers. There's so many uses for a creamy salad dressing. And our honey mustard dressing, I don't want to forget this guy because that's one of my favorite salad dressings, is you can brush it on chicken. You can spread it on salmon. You can dip some apples. You can just toss some veggies. We were talking about roasting vegetables a few minutes ago. You can toss some veggies in the honey mustard and then roast them. So lots of options. I'm going to show you a quick wrap here. Taking our honey mustard dressing, I'm just going to put a little bit on our chicken, and I'm just going to kind of coat that around. That way it doesn't get our wrap all super soggy. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of salad, lettuce in the middle. I'm going to add my chicken, just some grilled chicken. It's going to be nice and healthy for us. Add a little bit of tomatoes, whatever your favorite veggies are. And then I like cucumbers for added crunch. And I made mine a little bit in the center, so you kind of can do it off to the side. And I like pretty full. So they're gonna probably break, but then you just turn in the sides and then you roll it, and you can put it in a foil and take it with you with an ice pack, and you're ready to go. And obviously much neater than I just did right here because I filled mine too much. But lots of good uses for salad dressings. So I hope you give these a try, and any others, post them on our Facebook page. We'd love to see what you create.
Wow.
It looks too pretty to eat. It's so pretty. and
Lori,
colorful.
Rose wanted to know if you could add fresh garlic to that.
Oh, absolutely. And
Or
that was
I think she meant to the avocado.
Yeah, absolutely. You can just take your, in fact, I have some fresh garlic here. You just make sure, if you make sure you peel it, and then take a knife over it and kind of smash it. And then just chop up as much as you prefer. If you like a ton of garlic, you can use a little, a half to a whole. Just depends on how much garlic you like. Maybe start with a little bit. You can always add more. And blend it in. And absolutely, that would be a great complement to that dressing.
Yum.
Personally, I
I'm
think
so
you can't
hungry.
go wrong with garlic.
Exactly.
Everybody feels that way.
I don't think you could go wrong. I'm with you, Kendra. It would just enhance it just a little bit more. Take it a step further. But no, that
I don't
looks
know if
good.
everybody saw. Did everybody see, if you visit the Facebook page, did you see that Lori Miller, who she said she couldn't be here tonight, but she made this saying before, and I saw and I knew what I was like. I wanted to see how it was made because it looks so good.
Nice. Excellent.
But she shared it right on Facebook and did it, and it looked great in her kitchen as well.
Cool.
So can you share that Facebook link again in case anybody missed it and wants to join?
Yes, absolutely. I'll put that in the chat box.
Lori, thank you for a really great demonstration. Thank you for letting us into your beautiful kitchen. We greatly appreciate the demonstration tonight.
You are welcome.
Yeah, thank you. I can almost taste it from here. So I'm looking forward to making my
I'm
own.
going to be so hungry by the time this is over today.
And we have lots of really great gadgets that people like, all kinds of things that chop and juice and shred and help out and make life easier. And so lots and lots of great gadgets that we've all got in our homes. So
I'm going to have to make a list from these items in this chat box, I think, and go to the store.
Oh, wow. All right. So next up, it looks like we are going to go back and visit Sam again in her kitchen.
Hey, everybody. Can you hear me?
We can. And we were
All right.
noticing earlier we had a different view of your kitchen this time than the last time you did your demonstration. So
yeah, and you can see the ring light reflection in my glasses. I'm actually pointing.
it almost looks like a special effect that
It did, yes.
Aliens. Yeah, I'm pointing the other direction this time. Last time I was at my stove, and so the camera was pointing that way. So now it's pointing back towards my stove. But there's only like 2 places I can put the laptop in my kitchen because it's so small. So this is way number 2. This is place number 2. So thought I'd mix it up a little, All right, so today I'm just going to talk to you briefly about fresh herbs, and we are lucky enough at my extension office to have a beautiful Master Gardener tended herb garden. So I cut some fresh herbs this morning, and of course now I can't find the edge of this. Here we go. And if we had smell-o-vision, you'd be really appreciative right now. But I cut some rosemary. Let's see, I've got some mint. In my live herb classes, I always have like an icebreaker where people have to be blindfolded and then they smell an herb and try to identify what it is, to varying degrees of success, but it's always fun. I have some oregano, and then I have some thyme. And this one actually, you probably can't see it really well, but it's flowering. I don't think I've ever seen thyme flowering before, so I was really excited about that.
I did see the flowers, and I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah, I've never seen thyme flowering before.
Did you taste it to see if it changed the taste or the?
I have not. I did not even think to do that. I was just so amazed that it had these little tiny little flowers that I was kind of mesmerized, actually. It's like, ooh, I've never seen that before. I just learned something. So some things that, I mean, I am not a gardener, so I don't actually grow my own herbs. You know, they should probably take my FCS license away, but I don't grow my own herbs. So I usually buy them, and I use a lot of dried herbs because they're convenient. Speaking of which, let me just grab a couple here. All right,
So Sam, the herbs with the flowers could be a nice just way to decorate your plate, as well as things that you can eat. And
excellent point.
So it looks pretty and it tastes good. So yeah,
it's an excellent point. I usually use these kinds of herbs because they're just in my cabinet, and I try to make sure that they're, you know, they're not expired or like sticking together. Sometimes they get pushed to the back, and I end up, when I clean out my pantry, I end up having like 5 bottles of basil or something. But I use dried a lot, but I do love fresh herbs when I have them available. And now that we have the herb garden at my office, I have a deal with the Master Gardener volunteers. I mean, herbs are supposed to be eaten, right? So I said, if I want some, can I have some? And they're like, of course, take as much as you want. So now I have easier access to fresh herbs. So fresh, it depends on what you're making. Fresh can be better because it has a different flavor than the dried. But a couple of the things you want to look for, even if you're just buying the fresh herbs from the produce department. You want to look at the leaves first and make sure that they're nice and green, that they don't have any mold on them. And you don't want to really use the brown leaves. I tried to pick this one right here, and I don't know if you can see it really well because it kind of focuses in and out. But here's one right here that has, you know, like there's some brown spots on this one. There's some brown spots on the leaf above it. And so you kind of, you could still use the ones that look really nice, like the ones at the top here are really nice and green. There's no spots on them or anything. I would avoid using the ones that look like they've been chewed on by insects or they're starting to go bad or turn brown. So even if you're buying them from the store, you can't always, it's rare when you're going to find a package of fresh herbs that looks exactly perfect from the produce department. It's just not really going to happen. But you try to find the pack or the bunch that looks the best, and then you can always pick off the ugly parts and not use those. So you want to make sure that it's nice and green, and that you don't have any like excessive brown spots or insect damage. Let's see. You also, depending on the herb, you can eat the stem or not. So this is oregano. I'd say the middle stem here is kind of too thick to eat. My favorite example, of course, is rosemary. It's like wood. Try to chew that. It's not going to go very well. So if you want to, usually you just want to pull the leaves off. And rosemary is one of those that has a very strong flavor. So a little bit of rosemary goes a long way. So you want to make sure that it looks fresh, that it smells good, it doesn't have any Doesn't have any weird like bugs living in it or something like that. Now, thyme is another one where it's pretty tender. So even if you got a little bit of this center stem, it's not going to really take away from the flavor. It's pretty tender in the center. But I actually had a friend who used to do this the hard way. She would like to use fresh thyme. So what she would do, she'd pick off the leaves individually, these little tiny leaves. I mean, who has the time for that, right? So you see how the leaves here grow in this direction. So then all you have to do is hold it on the end and slide the leaves off in the opposite direction, and they come right off. And so that's the easiest way to get thyme. And so the long, like these, where this is mint, you can just take the leaves right off, just pick them right off. And you would always want to wash them and pat them dry before you use them, just to make sure that they're extra clean. But the part that gives the herbs their flavor is actually the oils inside the leaves. And so if you bite into this, and this is mint, tastes delicious, tastes just like mint, you know, like you expect mint to taste. But the reason why it tastes so good when you bite into it is because you're breaking open those cell walls and releasing the oils to make that flavor come out. The same thing can happen if you crush them or rub them between your fingers or crush them in your hand, or if you cut them with a knife, or if you cook them and add heat to them. Same result is that it'll get those oils released from the cells, the plant cells, and give you that extra flavor. So again, like this has a thick woody stem in the middle. You wouldn't want to actually just take a bunch of mint like this and just chop it up, because you're going to get that stem in the middle. You want to take the nice, good, fresh leaves off and use those. Pairing herbs with food, it depends on the herb and the food. General rule of thumb is stronger flavored herbs with stronger flavored foods, and milder flavored herbs with milder flavored foods, because otherwise, if you have a really strong herb with a mild food, you're going to overwhelm the taste of the food. And the idea of using herbs is to enhance the flavor and not cover it up. So rosemary, I love it in terms of decorative. Not a huge fan of rosemary as a culinary herb, just because I'm not a huge fan of the taste of it. My go-to is basil. If I can get away with using basil, I'm going to use it. But Angela agrees with me. But again, this would be something like, what's an example, colleagues, participants?
Right. Okay. Rosemary Parmesan bread. Parmesan is a strong cheese and rosemary is a strong herb, but you can make a rosemary Parmesan bread. And I believe the recipe is actually on the website, and it complements. I'm with you. I don't need a whole lot of rosemary. And you're exactly right when it comes to making sure that you pair a strong herb with the strong other ingredient. And that seems to be the one dish or one bread that I can make that nobody has ever turned away.
It sounds delicious. Yeah.
I like using the rosemary, but just using the stem for kebabs.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
It gives it a nice essence without overpowering.
Yeah, that's a good point, Paula. You can just take all the outer stems off, and then the strong central stem you can use as a skewer, and you can make your kebabs that way. And that gives you a little bit of a rosemary flavor without overwhelming everything.
And what
basil is my favorite too. Absolutely.
Basil's my go-to jam, man. I love it. So basil and garlic, those are my two favorite things pretty much in the culinary world. So who am I kidding? I eat a lot of stuff. So that's, again, mild herbs like parsley to me, fresh parsley to me doesn't taste like anything. Really, honestly, it doesn't taste like I'm putting a bunch of leaves in my mouth. Like there's nothing special about it, in my opinion. And things like different people have different palates too, because I've heard from a lot of folks that cilantro will taste like soap. in their mouth. So, that's to me, I love cilantro, but I can see why you wouldn't want to eat it if it tastes like you just put some soap in your mouth. So it depends on your palate. But the thing about fresh versus dried, now here's a question. Can you just, hold on one second. Stop eating that.
And sometimes kitties like to get into herbs if you happen to have them around.
My cat has this weird attraction to plastic bags. So if he finds a plastic bag, he has to eat it.
Yes,
But then he can't digest it. So
yes.
you know what happens? And I have to clean it up. So he has to stop eating it. All right. Anyway, I digress. Question for you guys. Can you just take, if you have a recipe and it calls for, say, 2 tablespoons of fresh, but you forgot to buy fresh, or you don't have any on hand and all you have is dried of the same herb, can you use 2 tablespoons of dried instead?
No.
Why wouldn't you want to do that?
The dried is much more intense.
It is. I mean, I don't actually challenge you to do this because I don't want you to ruin anything. But just imagine, like, you can do a little taste test of your own though, like with a little pinch. You could say, take a leaf of a fresh herb and taste it, and then put a little dollop of dried in your hand and taste it and see what the difference is. It's much more intense, much more intense. And it does depend on the herb, Laura. You're right about that. For most cases, the dried is more intense than the fresh, and sometimes has a totally different flavor once you take the water out of it and dry it. Because that's why the flavor is more intense, because you have all that water. There's no water in it to dilute the flavor like you do have in the leaf. It's nice and moist in the leaf, but you take that water away and all that's left is the oils that have the flavor. So that's why it's more intense. So the rule of thumb is about 1/4 to 1/2 the amount of dried that you would, to get the same effect as the fresh. So if it's 2 tablespoons of fresh, you'd want to use no more than a tablespoon of dried, and depending on what the herb is, it could be even less, because remember, you can always add more, but once you put it in, you can't take it out. So you can add some, taste it, and then add a little bit more if you think it needs it. But if you pour a bunch in, good luck getting it out of there if you think it's too strong. So that's not really going to happen. And using herbs or alternative seasonings, herbs and spices is a great way to cut down on your sodium intake. And so that's what I always try to stress when I'm teaching herbs to folks, is that you can flavor your food in a million different ways without having to use salt, and you can get a lot of delicious flavor combinations. Now, before my time runs out, I want to show you a couple things. You might have seen when I first took these out, I had them rolled up in a damp paper towel. That's a good way to keep your cut herbs fresh for a few days in your refrigerator. So you would snip them off the plant, or maybe you bought a package of fresh herbs at the store already cut, and to get a little bit more life out of them, you would just dampen a paper towel or two, take your bundle of herbs, and just roll it up in the paper towel like this. And then to keep the paper towel from drying out, I just keep it in a plastic bag, and I don't seal it all the way. I leave it partially open, and then that way it stays moist in the environment and keeps the leaves from drying out. Another way you can do it is kind of like with cut flowers. You can just cut the ends of the stems and put them in a glass of water. What I usually do if I do that method is I put them in a glass of water, and then I put like a bag over the glass, kind of make a little greenhouse for your herbs so that they don't get dried out above the rim of the glass. So I encourage you guys to use herbs in your cooking, to be a little creative, figure out which herb combinations that you like, create your own herb mix and put it in a shaker and put it on the table instead of the salt, and see, if people like to use that instead. So using fresh herbs is a great way to be a little adventurous, to add a little bit of extra layer to your flavor in your meals, and cut down on the sodium and the risk that too much sodium can cause, such as high blood pressure. So back to you.
Thank you, Sam.
Awesome.
That was a
Thanks.
really fun presentation. I learned a lot about herbs. And we'll turn it over to Melanie now.
We're good.
There. Oh, okay, sorry, we had a mute problem. I'm Melanie Taylor, and I'm the FCS agent in Bay County. And what we're going to talk about today are eggs and making egg dishes. So first of all, eggs can serve an important part of your diet. They are full of protein, and they're what's known as a pure protein, which has 9 essential amino acids. If you ever have surgery, or if you are recovering from an athletic injury or some kind of muscle pull, this is the kind of protein that you need to help heal the muscles and the tissue. So just be aware of that in case you ever need to do that. I'm going to give you a few protein tips before we get moving. Generally, 1 large egg is 6 grams of high quality protein. So you can think about that. The American Heart Association typically says about 1 egg a day if you don't have cholesterol problems. And then you maybe 2 if you still don't have cholesterol problems, but more than that could become a problem. So if you're going to eat that 2 to 3 and more eggs a day, you would want to get your cholesterol checked just to make sure you're not causing it to be high. Also, if you have a diet that is rich in these types of proteins, you will be fuller longer. So that's good. So maybe there won't be as much snacking involved. And the average person I'm just going to give a general weight, that weighs about 150 pounds, needs anywhere from 80 to 135 grams of protein a day. So just to give you an idea, 1 3-egg omelet with a glass of milk is about 26 grams of protein, or a 3-egg omelet with 1 ounce of cheddar cheese has 25 grams of protein. So that just gives you an idea of a range of what you'd be getting if you had those as a meal. So let's move over to the eggs. I have already put them in my bowl here, and that one, the yolk broke on me. But I've already heated the stovetop over here. I've put 1 tablespoon of olive oil. You don't have to use olive oil, but it is a heart-healthy oil. You're going to want to use something so it doesn't stick. And I like olive oil. I know that a lot of people like to use butter or the bacon grease or the sausage grease that's left over from the meat they've cooked. But the American Heart Association does not recommend that. And so we're not going to have those kind of meats tonight. We're going to focus on our egg protein. So the first thing you want to do is whisk your eggs together, and we're going to put 1 tablespoon of water. Now, you ask, why do we put 1 tablespoon of water in there? It is because you want it to give it a little fluff and a little extra moisture, which is going to make it light in the pan. But also, especially if you have older eggs, the water will help them so that they have a little bit more water in them. They're already 3/4 of it is already water, and then you're just adding a little bit in there. So we're not telling you to use expired eggs, but if you have eggs that have been in the fridge for a week or 2 and you want to add a little moisture to them, just add a little bit of water, and you can always go with 2 tablespoons if you think you need it. And this is about a serving for 1 adult person. Oh, it's too hot, too hot. I knew this would happen. You're okay. We tried to heat it up in time. All right, we're gonna go ahead, I'll go ahead and pour it in. We do have a sample in case this one doesn't come out. Okay. So usually this doesn't happen quite so fast, but if you put it in there when it's cooler, you'll start to see that it's going to get a little harder around the edges. You want to keep moving the insides that's still wet around the pan to try and get that cooked evenly. You'll see that we filled in all the gaps there, and that in there is going to start to cook. And you can leave it a little bit wet when you add your other ingredients, but you don't want it to be so wet that it's not going to cook through. So first we're going to let that cook for a second. I have a variety of things that we can put in it. I pre-cooked some mushrooms, onions, and peppers. And so those are ready. And the reason I pre-cooked them is because I don't want them to be hard. They're not going to cook all the way through in the omelet once you put them in there. That's really your choice. You can use tomatoes, any vegetable, any kind of meat that you really want. I've got some cheese. I have salsa in the end. I've got salt and pepper if you want to put that on there. So I think we're getting ready now. I'm going to add in some of the mixture. And if you have children and you say this is too much for them, then just use 1 egg and make a smaller omelet. Or if you have an elderly parent that doesn't want 2 eggs, just make it whatever size you need. And I'm not going to overstuff mine. I don't love mine bulging. Some people do. My husband does. He likes his when it's full of stuff. Sprinkle a little bit of cheese. He also likes his full of like beef and steak and all those good things. And then when you're finished with what you want in it, you just flip it over. And I'm sorry, that's not going to be as pretty as I expected.
Things
Let
that
it-
come when we cook don't come out perfect either. It all tastes the same.
I'm going to go ahead and turn that off.
It looks
I'll make it look prettier on a plate, but I will show you my finished product, my very first one, not on air. Of course, went great. And it's the same exact thing. And I sprinkled a little bit of cheese and pepper on top. And then I gave a little bit of fruit to kind of balance out what you're eating. And I think that's a pretty yummy breakfast. And dinner. My husband and I usually have breakfast at least 1 night a week because I love breakfast food. And this will be what he's having tonight when he gets home. Are there any specific questions about eggs or omelets?
They're saying that looks delish.
Thank you.
It is beautiful. Again, another very beautiful dish. You know, and I think it's important to keep in mind when we cook at home, things don't always go
Right.
as perfectly as you want them to go. So
This hot one, you can see all the ooey gooiness.
And
You know,
Rose
it's
mentioned
gonna
that
taste
she does these
delicious.
on, Rose mentioned that she does these on, or makes these on Sundays. And so
Uh-huh.
sometimes that's a great way to incorporate something, is just to say, okay, it's, you know, it's Taco Tuesday. We're having omelets on Sundays, and that's part of what we do. It's tradition, and you know, you can change things up, but having those certain things on certain days just it's nice to have a tradition, something to count on, you know? And that would be a really great one that would be healthy and really
Right.
yummy.
And I didn't grow up with omelets, but we did grow up with some form of an egg on Sunday morning and some kind of meat and then a fruit before we went to church every Sunday. So, you know, that is a tradition that my parents carried on with me. And of course, with something like this, I would probably drizzle salsa across it just to give it a little bit of moisture and a little extra flavor. You could put herbs in there. Some people might use ketchup to put on it. I know a lot of kids do that. So just remember that.
Yeah, I like ketchup. I'm not a kid anymore.
You don't have to be a kid. I like ketchup too.
Or salsa, actually, on the side.
Would be great.
Actually, we would do a Texas style omelet and we would have avocado and salsa on the side.
Oh, that'd be perfect. Yeah. I've also seen them come out with all of that plus a little scoop of sour cream. So, you know, whatever floats your boat. Any questions in the chat box? Because I can't see it.
No, but your resource there for
Oh, yes. Yeah,
yes.
the American Egg Board. I think one of them just posted it into the chat box for you. They have fabulous information nutrition-wise. They have nutritional information on eating eggs if you're pregnant. So that would be good for anybody that's pregnant. It also talks about ways to incorporate it into a baby's diet as you're trying to teach them how to eat certain foods. There's also tons of recipes, there's videos, all kinds of things on different things you can do with eggs. So if you're looking for some resources like that, that is a fabulous resource. Anything else?
Everybody's hungry.
Can I just like take a second to when you had I had a little flashback, Melanie, when the pan was too hot. I had that flashback. So I thought I would just take the moment to let you guys know that you got to be careful about overheating your pan.
Yeah.
Because oil does have different oils have different smoke points. and can catch fire,
Yep.
which a colleague of mine and I discovered on live demonstration not too long ago, that it can burst into flames. And so you want to be very careful about that. Olive oil actually has a relatively low smoke point compared to other oils. And so that would even be a higher risk if you had a really hot pan and you
Right.
put the olive oil in there. So just be very careful about that.
I did put the olive oil in when the pan was still cool, and then I let it heat up slowly.
Okay.
But then once I got to talking, you kind of forget what's going on over there. All the more reason to remember your kitchen safety. Make sure you've turned off all your eyes and know what's hot.
Right, exactly. And do not put an oil fire under the sink.
Correct.
Do not put it under the faucet. That is a very bad idea.
Luckily, we did not have to experience a fire here tonight.
Yeah, good. You had no smoke and no fire, but I did, like I said, I had a little flashback
Yes.
of the flames, and so I just thought I would share.
Yes, and I'm glad. I'd rather the omelet fall apart than have fire.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right.
And the more you do this, the better you get at it. You'll know exactly when to turn it. Again, I was freaked out by how quickly it started to cook. When we did the one earlier, of course, it cooked nice and smoothly and kind of slowly, and you could watch it all kind of bubble up. But that's live demonstrations for you.
Yeah, exactly. I do the cheaters version where I just crack a couple eggs and put them in a zipper bag.
Yeah.
With my vegetables, and then I
Yeah.
just put it in boiling water.
Oh, that's clever.
Put the bag in boiling water, and it comes out. Right. It doesn't come out pretty like yours, but it tastes good.
It'll be tasty, yeah.
I stole that from the Pioneer Woman. I can't take credit for it.
I've seen something like that related to summer camps and stuff, but I've never tried it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Wonderful. Okay. So I love this. We have great fire safety rules. I love that. Thank you, Kimberly.
Awesome.
That's the way it goes. Sometimes things happen, and that is, again, the rules of live streaming. Mm-hmm. So this is wrapping it up. We have the site up and ready to go for next week. It's lesson 4, one dish meals. The Google site is up and the link is in the box. Also, somebody put the survey in the chat box as well. So if you don't mind, please do fill out that survey. Maybe I can get whoever did it before to drop it in again for us one more time before we go. Do we have any final questions or comments to wrap this up? And I hear crickets.
This is Beth. I just want to say that I think Jill is going to send everybody an email so they can easily click on my email address to be able to send in their utensil list. Even if you don't have all of them there, just make sure you send it in because it'll work either way.
Absolutely. Okay, wonderful. Thank you. And thank you, Jill, for doing that. The survey link is in the chat box. So if you want to click on that and take our survey, that would be really great. Any other final comments?
There was a show called Frasier, and he sang a song called Tossed Salad and Scrambled Eggs. And that is just the perfect music for this evening. I think we could have a great tossed salad with a wonderful dressing and some fabulous scrambled up eggs omelets for just a perfect evening. So thanks, guys.
That's good. I like that, Angela.
I like it.
Good pop culture reference. I like it.
I love it. Yeah. Now that's going to be stuck in my head. Well, thank you to everyone and all of our presenters tonight. I will go ahead and stop the recording.